Namaste. My name is Krupa Shankari and I am a student of first year engineering, and the book that I will be introducing does not merely explain religion but it also reveals a way of understanding life itself, The Essentials of Hinduism by Swami Vivekananda. This book is not about rituals, temples or sectarian identities. It is about the core philosophy of Hinduism, distilled by one of its greatest modern interpreters who spoke not only to India but to the entire world. Swami Vivekananda's purpose in this work was clear: to explain what Hinduism truly stands for, its view of God, the soul, life and morality and liberation, without distortion, superstition or dogma. Through this book, he presents Hinduism as a universal, rational and experiential spiritual system deeply relevant even today. Essentials of Hinduism is a compilation of Swami Vivekananda's teachings from his lectures, writings and conversations, particularly those aimed at clarifying Hindu philosophy for both Indian and Western audiences. This book does not attempt to cover every scripture or practice. Instead, it focuses on the fundamental principles that unites the vast diversity of Hindu thought. From the very beginning, Vivekananda challenges the idea that religion must be confined to one single belief system. He believes that Hinduism is not a religion founded by one prophet nor bound by one book. It is a continuous spiritual inquiry that has evolved over thousands of years. Its strength lies in its freedom of thought and spiritual inclusiveness. One of the most important ideas emphasized in the book is that Hinduism is based on realization and not belief. Vivekananda explains that true religion is not about accepting doctrines of faith alone but about direct experience of the spiritual truth. According to Hinduism, as presented in this book, spiritual truths can be tested, experienced and verified, much like scientific truths. The sages of the Upanishads did not ask people to believe them blindly. They asked them to see and realize themselves. This makes Hinduism a deeply rational and experiential religion. The book provides a clean and profound explanation of the Hindu understanding of God. Vivekananda explains that Hinduism recognizes one ultimate infinite reality known as the Brahman. This reality is beyond time, space, and causation. However, Hinduism also accepts that human minds approach the infinite in different ways. Therefore, the same reality can be worshipped as a personal God with form and attributes, or contemplated as impersonal, formless absolute. Vivekananda stresses that these are not contradictory ideas but different perspectives of the same truth. This flexible understanding allows Hinduism to accommodate devotion, philosophy, meditation and inquiry within a single spiritual framework. A central teaching repeatedly emphasized in the Essentials of Hinduism is the oneness of existence. Vivekananda explains that the same divine reality runs through everything: humans, animals, nature and the cosmos. This idea is not merely metaphysical, it has deep ethical implications. If the same divine essence exists in all beings, then the hatred, exploitation and violence arises from ignorance. True spirituality naturally leads towards compassion, service and respect for all life. The book strongly emphasizes the Hindu teaching about the immortality of the soul. Vivekananda explains that the soul is never born and never dies. It is eternal, unchanging and pure. According to Hinduism, suffering arises because we identify ourselves with the body and mind instead of recognizing our spiritual nature. The purpose of religion is to remove this ignorance and help us realize our divine identity. Vivekananda's famous idea, reflected clearly in the book, is that every soul is potentially divine, and the goal of life is to manifest this divinity through self-control, work, worship and knowledge. Another essential concept explained in the book is karma, the law of moral causation. Vivekananda presents karma not as fate but as a natural law of cause and effect operating in the moral and spiritual realm. Every action, thought, and intention leaves an impression. These impressions shape our character and circumstances. Karma therefore teaches responsibility and self-reliance. Human beings are not judged by an external authority but are governed by their own actions. Closely related to karma is the doctrine of rebirth, which allows the soul multiple opportunities to evolve and attain freedom. According to the essentials of Hinduism, the highest goal of human life is moksha or liberation. Moksha is freedom from ignorance and from the cycle of birth and death. It is the realization that the individual soul and the universal reality is one. Vivekananda explains that liberation is not achieved through fear, punishment, or blind belief, but through knowledge, discipline, and self-realization. This realization brings fearlessness, peace, and a deep sense of unity with all existence. One of the most practical sections of the book is Vivekananda's explanation of the four yogas. Karma Yoga teaches selfless action without attachment to results. Bhakti Yoga teaches love and surrender to the divine. Gnana Yoga emphasizes discrimination between the real and the unreal. Raja Yoga focuses on meditation and the control of the mind. Vivekananda explains that different people are suited to different paths, but all paths ultimately lead to the same realization. The book repeatedly highlights the Hinduism tolerance and universality. Vivekananda explains that Hinduism does not reject other religions but sees them as different paths towards the same truth. This spirit of acceptance, according to Vivekananda, is not passive tolerance but active respect for spiritual diversity. At this point, it becomes important to reflect on why Essentials of Hinduism is especially significant for the youth of India today. India's youth are growing up in a time of rapid change, globalization, digital influence, academic pressure, and identity confusion. In this environment, religion is often misunderstood either as rigid tradition or as something irrelevant to modern life. Swami Vivekananda, through this book, addresses this exact crisis. First, the book restores self-confidence and dignity in young minds. By teaching that every soul is potentially divine, it removes feeling of inferiority and self-doubt. Vivekananda does not ask the youth to escape the world but to stand strong within it, armed with inner strength and moral clarity. Second, the book offers a rational and fearless understanding of religion. It encourages questioning, inquiry, and independent thinking, qualities essential for today's youth. Hinduism, as Vivekananda presents it, is not opposed to science or progress, but complements them by addressing the inner dimension of life. Third, the emphasis on karma and responsibility directly speaks to the youth. The book teaches that success, failure, character, and destiny are shaped by one's own actions. This instills accountability, discipline, and purpose. Most importantly, the book provides a moral and spiritual compass. In a time when external achievement often defines self-worth, Essentials of Hinduism reminds the youth that true strength comes from self-mastery, compassion, and service. Thus, this book is not a spiritual or philosophical text. It is a guide for building strong, ethical, and confident individuals, which in turn strengthens the nation. To conclude, Essentials of Hinduism presents Hinduism not as a narrow religious identity but as a universal spiritual philosophy, rooted in self-knowledge, freedom, and compassion. Swami Vivekananda reminds us that religion is not something meant to divide humanity but to reveal the divinity already present within each individual. This book invites us not merely to study Hinduism but to understand its essence, and more importantly, to live it. Swami Vivekananda teaches through these pages the highest truth is not something to be believed from outside, but something to be realized from within. Thank you.
Vivekanandamaya Suvivekamaya Swami